We are actually pretty warm if you consider the rest of the world throughout the year, Hunter. So, Hunter, mongoose don't hibernate here. Very little actually hibernates, and here we don't really have hibernation. We have estivation, which means just because it doesn't really get cold enough for hibernation. So only really tortoises and the odd snake species, but most of our animals are mobile throughout the year, including the mongoose and whatnot, because our climate isn't nearly as harsh as the northern hemisphere. Okay, I'm going to try to get up to the top of that hill so I can get some radio comms. And in the meantime, it seems like Tristan has made his way back to the smelly elephant.
We have made our way back to the smelly elephant. It's not too bad, actually. It's got more of a dry, dead smell now than it has that kind of really sort of putrid sort of smell that it had about 2 days ago. So it's kind of drying up now a little bit and doesn't actually smell as bad. I wouldn't want to put my head in it, and I certainly wouldn't want to go too close and touch it, but from where we're parked at the moment, it's all good. And we parked quite far away because, unfortunately, the hyenas have left in our sort of disappearance. When we moved on, the hyenas have also moved off, and that means it's just vultures, and they're a little bit more flighty. When you kind of drive in, they fly away a little bit, and so you've got to kind of give a bit of distance if you want to keep the vultures around. And you can see they just going absolutely to town, so they use those beaks just to peck and try and get as much out of it as possible, and they really must have sustained themselves massively over the course. I would actually love to know how many individual vultures would have visited this particular carcass. It's interesting because I'm sure there's a lot of repeat vultures that are in this area and that kind of come back day in, day out, but it would be interesting to know how many different vultures individually actually attended one dead elephant. It would be a very interesting stat. I'm also hugely surprised that we only had the one lappet-faced and no white-headed vultures. We saw white-headed vultures the day before this elephant, or the day this elephant died, and I would have thought that maybe we would have seen them right in the beginning at this carcass, but alas, none. It's just been Cape vultures, whitebacks, and hoodeds. Also no sign of our Egyptian vulture, unfortunately, which is a bit sad. I was hoping it was going to be here and going to be sitting in amongst all the others. It would have been such a big find for the Sabi sands that it would have been an amazing thing, but unfortunately I don't think it's the case. Maybe it'd be a little far afield for where that Egyptian vulture is hanging around, and even though they can cover massive amounts of distance, I just think maybe it was a little bit far afield for them. And also you never know what's died in between here and where that bird may be. Might be a number of other elephant or, buffalo or rhinos or something like that, and they're able to go and feed off that, and that's why I haven't arrived at this particular carcass. It's not the only dead elephant that will be in the entire Kruger system. There will be more than just this one, so vultures are kind of spread out over it. But definitely it's sad that there was only, like I say, the one lappet-faced and no white-headed. It's an indication of just how sort of under threat vultures are. I remember seeing carcasses in the Kruger when I was a young kid, and big carcasses like this, and you'd have multiple lappet-faced vultures there and lots of white-headeds, especially up in the north. And now it's just kind of seems as though both those species are getting less and less as the days go by, which is very sad. They are vitally important to our ecosystem. I know that a lot of people don't like vultures and think that they are dirty and that they represent death and that they are horrible creatures, but they are a vital animal to have here. They clean up everything. Can you imagine how much meat would still be there if it wasn't for these vultures? They've probably eaten way more than any of the hyenas have eaten, even though they're so much smaller. So they're important to keep things nice and clean. So Sharon, vultures are not really aggressive towards humans. I mean, if I had to go running there, they'll all fly away. They won't come and attack me or anything like that. But I have seen vultures that are being rehabilitated through either being poisoned or various other things that do happen to birds, flying into telephone lines and those kind of things. And they can be nasty if they peck you. If they get into a situation and they decide that they want to peck at your foot or your arm or something like that, they will draw blood. But they're not really aggressive birds. Like I say, I mean, I can walk there now and they'll all fly into the trees and they'll just watch me. They're not going to come mob me and try and peck at me, so they're not in that way inclined, but they are kind of big powerful birds with big powerful beaks, and if they do want to attack you, it would be a very unpleasant experience for one of those to peck around at your face and at your legs and those kind of things. So not very nice at all to get manhandled by a vulture. Mussel Company, vultures don't know how to find carcasses. They see carcasses, so they fly up into the sky. They ride the thermals, which will come out now as the sun heats the land, so hot air rises and thermals develop, and they then get onto the thermals and they ride those thermals up into the sky. They have incredibly good vision, and so as they're flying along, they'll then spot a carcass, and then they start to kind of come down. And as one starts to circle and descend, so another one sees it, and it comes, and then another one, and then slowly but surely it builds up, and you get this kind of 200, 300, 400 vultures that can be together, and they all kind of descend slowly down to the ground, and that's how they kind of find these carcasses. You must understand, from up in the air, an elephant of that size is quite a big target, and they see it quite easily. You must see them spotting all kinds of other things. They sometimes can spot little scrub hares and impalas and duikers and steenbok, which are, I mean, far smaller than an elephant. So their eyesight is extremely good, and that's how they are able to find food, is that they spot it, actually, rather than knowing how to find a carcass, because as we know, animals don't just die in the same places. They don't just go, okay, well, I'm going to go die here, and the vultures then know that's where the restaurant is. They need to be able to kind of fly about to see where they are and what's going on. Amazing, though, that was a full-grown bull, well, not full-grown, I mean, he's a young bull elephant that was weighing 5-6 tons and has been reduced to pretty much nothing in this course of sort of 5, 6, 7 days. Absolutely amazing to me. It's incredible how efficient nature is when it comes to dealing with these kind of things. But it's getting tamer and tamer around the carcass as the days develop. Less and less fighting, less and less activity, and I would say, like I said, maybe 2 days max, and we'll find that there'll be very little happening here. You might find the odd hyena drifting in and smelling, but in terms of vulture activity, it's going to get quieter and quieter and quieter, and you can see a bit of snapping at each other. It's also, as there's less meat, more fighting amongst the vultures, and so you find that they kind of move off and go and find a different carcass, but still feeding away and still going to target those fatty foot pads that are there and the meat around the legs, and there's still the trunk and a little bit around the sort of tusk areas that still needs to be eaten. Right, now our birds are busy dining out and having a good time. We're going to sit and wait and see if maybe another hyena arrives. And while we do that, let's go to Taylor and see if she's avoided any ticks.
No ticks just yet, and I even had to just check VM thoroughly, but I couldn't find any ticks, unfortunately. We're not having much luck today, unfortunately, with all the insects, but that's okay. That's just one of those things. Now I'm now looking for ticks again, but we can't find them. What we have got, that was a deep hole. It looks like there's a massive termite mound around here. You can't really see it because the grass is covering it, but I can just see little chimneys poking through the grass. And if we go to where this tree is snapped in half. Oh no, don't come here, VM. There's sticks and thorns and things. That wasn't a great idea. Let's go this way around. This way is better. Over here is a tree that is broken. It looks like the termites have gotten into, and the ants. And we think that this is the reason for this tree collapsing the way it did. Perhaps an elephant leaned up against it. And actually, I'm going to do something, BM. Jump over the trunk of the tree. Hello, everybody. It's nice to see you here through this lovely window that the termites have made for us. And the ants, so they've been busy in here, eating away on the mark. And then the tree collapsed. But now it is made for the most awesome home. I can't imagine all the things that are living in here. I bet the skinks love it. And if you come here, VM, it looks like there have been some lizards living in between the crevices. You can see, look, that's pretty fresh. That is lizard poo, lizard dung. all coming out to bathe in the sun, and then also to catch any flies and things, or any insects that use this to sort of perch themselves on for a short time. Scorpions, the Ostypocanthus species of scorpion, I think, will come around here. Olivaceous, they'll all be here. The olive bark scorpion, they'll live around here. So it's a great home for a lot of different animals. I'm trying to see where these thorns are. I think we need to get onto that track here. Otherwise, we're just going to end up getting attacked by trees. So we'll go onto this little 2-track. Goodness. I think I got a nice thorn tree right up my pants. That was fun. Right, off you go to Tristan, who's not too far away from us. We've climbed down our tree. He's got something that's sitting in one.
Well, we've got a few vultures that are sitting up in the tree, and I thought maybe we'd scan around and see if there's anything exciting in terms of different species. And we've got our pale form Wahlbergs that are sitting there. By the looks of it, it's very light in coloration, so it looks like a pale form Wahlbergs. They often are around this area. And then there's a few hooded and some white-backed vultures, and that's about it. There's really very few vultures left, and I actually think they might have a situation that after today we probably won't see vultures actually at this carcass. Maybe 1 or 2, but definitely not in the numbers that we've been seeing them. So those are all hoodeds. You can see they're very small, narrow beak and their little bald head, and also much smaller in size. Now, these guys will be the last ones that we'll see here because they've got the smallest beak and they're able to get into places that the whitebacks can't get into. If you look at the profile of that bird there, look at how much bulkier that beak is and how much bigger it is. And so it's very difficult for those guys to get their beaks into the carcass once it's completely, or once there's very little meat left. And so the hoodeds are the ones that are kind of the cleanup crew. They're the last ones that will finish up what's left in between the bones, and then it's up to the insects to do the rest. And so lots of work still to be done, and the skin will probably be around for a bit, and the bones obviously for a long time, but otherwise it's going to be pretty much that's it. I think that's the big vultures are probably done. They're not going to be eating too much more of what's left. Amazing though. Like I say, it's provided a crazy insight into how the bush deals with things like a dead elephant, and you can see why its smaller carcasses disappear so fast. So if you have a situation like, let's say, something like even a leopard, and we've had a lot of these leopard issues lately in terms of disappearing animals, and you wonder why we don't find any signs of it. Well, if you look at this animal, which is infinitely larger than a leopard, how quickly this gets cleaned up, you can imagine how fast, if a leopard was there, how quickly it would get cleaned up, and it would be very difficult to find. So it gives you an idea of just how fast decay and decomp happens. Now, Muscle Company, vulture eating another vulture, if it was dead, never seen it, but probably, I don't see why they wouldn't. Vultures generally will take anything they can get, and scavenge of all kinds of things, so I wouldn't be surprised if they scavenged off of another vulture. But you'd probably find that if a dead vulture was around and other vultures landed, that something else would get in there, so something like a jackal or hyenas or those kind of things. And then also insects. You don't write off insects. Carcass beetles, ants, they'll tear apart a vulture carcass pretty quickly as well. So it's interesting because when you see vultures at carcasses and when they're in and they get poisoned, it's the vultures actually don't go and feed off each other. They rather feed off the meat that is there, and they then unfortunately mass amounts get poisoned. But they don't actually go and eat off each other. I've once seen a dead vulture. It was killed by lions. It was at a buffalo carcass, and this hooded vulture got too close, and the lions grabbed it and killed it. They didn't eat it. They just killed it and left it there, and the rest of the vultures did not feed on it at that point. But like I say, you can't write anything off, and nature follows its own rules. And I suppose if there's a bird that's desperate for food, it will peck at it. The vulture eventually just kind of decomposed, and like I say, ants and carcass beetles and those kind of things took care of it. But it's all very civil today, isn't it? Not nearly as much squabbling and squeaking and scorching. So, Hunter, I'm not really sure why they're called hooded vultures. As you say, they don't really possess a hood. It could be from the folds of skin that they've got. It almost looks like a little hood that comes over towards the eyes. Maybe. I'm not sure. I have no idea, though, why they call it a hooded vulture. They typically don't have any feathers around their head. and there's a situation where they don't kind of, look very different in terms of the head structure than any of the other vultures. But that's the name that they've been given, and I'm, like I say, not sure why. Now, I believe Brent, who is still patiently waiting for these wild dogs to kind of come across, is on one of the boundaries, and maybe he's got an update as to how much closer they might be.
Okay, so as I said, there's quite a few different packs around today. There was the pack we were looking for on the northern boundary. They have headed north towards the Manuleti, and they're actually lying down near the Manuleti boundary. So they could come south this afternoon, you never know. Currently, though, the other pack of wild dogs, I'm not sure which pack either of them are yet, is about 800, 900 meters away. And as I said, this is an area that commonly cross. So I'm just waiting for an update. I'm hoping they're still on the move and they haven't gone flat. Otherwise, they'll probably almost certainly come into Djuma this afternoon. So that could be lots of fun again. So at the moment, I'm just waiting for one last update. And we're going to decide then whether we're going to go see what else we can find, or we're going to sit here. Michael, I don't think any certain sighting made wild dogs my favorite. I think I probably inherited my love of wild dogs from my dad. It's also his favorite animal. And I think just the excitement of seeing them as kids and stuff that just really excited me. I mean, a lion, leopard, cheetah we used to see often all the time, sort of once or twice a week. Wild dogs was very, very, very rare in Zululand. But then when we moved up to Botswana, we spent a huge amount of time with them. So very lucky. We had 2 different packs. We had dens. We followed them every day. Caracals, serval, and they used to find us pangolins. They're just incredibly busy little critters. Oh, there's a bird. Dave. On the road, and there's a little bush that's got some white berries or little things on it. You can see the grass moving. No, on the other side of the road. So there, you're right spot, where that little road goes into Simbambili. Let's come out. There we go, a little bit to the right. There we go, a little bit up, a little bit to the left, on the other side of that road. In there. Has it disappeared? Yeah, you got it. Center frame. Somewhere in there it disappeared. And you see, there we go. That is not what we were looking at initially. I can't really see it. It was a rattling testicular. It was sitting out in the open. Don't they stick there, Dave? Let's find out what it is. Aren't you curious now that you found it? It is is it a rattling testicular? Oh, it's so small. It's down bottom of the frame at the moment. It's so difficult to see. Oh, it could be a prinia. And so testiculars generally perch and fiddle around more prominently. I think it looks like, as I say, it's very difficult to see there. I can't be 100% sure. It looks like a little tawny flank prinia. I'll keep an eye on that bush to see if it pops out. Now, it sounds like I'm not the only one doing a bit of birding this morning. Let's see what birds Taylor has.
We did have a pair of African hawk eagles, but they've flown off, as you can imagine. They don't really like people on foot. We're not winning in terms of finding small things today. I've just got a bit of wire in my hand, which I've picked up, which could have come from some... Oh, Rebecca's laughing at my hair. I'm so hot. You have no idea how hot I am that I could not take my ponytail touching anywhere on my body. So I've now, you can imagine the humidity, and my hair is very thick. I just literally scrumpled it in a ball and almost broke my hair elastic trying to put it around a third time, my hair. So yes, it's very untidy now. I do apologize. My hair's normally a little bit neater. It's just, I don't even know what's going on at the moment. It's just to get it away from my neck. Now I'm self-conscious. Please, can you walk in front of me? Rebecca, why do you want to eat my head? My head is not a croissant. It does not look delicious. You're all ridiculous. Anyway, so this bit of wire is probably maybe from an old fence or something like that, and perhaps the maintenance team was out removing it, because There were lots and lots of fence lines in this area once upon a time, obviously since then removing them, but unfortunately bits and pieces often drop off of cars or they get left behind. And I can't tell you how I've walked areas, and especially in the Eastern Cape with just natural weathering, I suppose, how sand blows, vegetation comes and goes and it exposes things, and you'll find fence lines that have been buried underground. It's pretty hectic. So whenever you do see a bit of wire like this could quite easily get caught around an animal. We pick it up. We'll take it home. I don't know where Rexon's coming. He's behind us. We're just walking along this road. Probably look for elephants. Hey, it's very thick here. So this is an area that we're not going to go off-road for. As you can see, if you were to walk down, this is actually an animal pathway. Now, if we walk along animal pathways, you must expect to bump into an animal. That's the roads that they tend to be using more. And something like that, you'll walk into a rhino, walk into a buff, probably even walk into an elephant. So when we are in thick areas like this, don't be afraid of a road. Walk on a road when you need to, especially if it's a safety issue. A lot of guides, I don't know why, don't like to necessarily walk their guests on the road. Obviously, when you do a bushwalk, you try and avoid that, but there's just some areas that you can't avoid. And, you've just actually got to do it. And these are one of those, this area is one of those spots where the grass just gets too tall. I mean, look at it. And this is pretty crazy, hey? And it grows in huge clumps. I mean, this is just on the edge of the road. Let's see if we can find some scrub hare tracks. There are lots. We find a nice one, though, because there are lots that I can see, but not many that are really, really nice. Let me look carefully. There we go. We look very carefully. This is actually the foot of a scrub hare, and you can see over here, so here's where the toes would be. Very hairy feet. So normally when you see it on sort of very, very fine sand, you can actually see the little lines, almost if it's on dust. Obviously the granules of sand are quite big here, but you can see where it was hopping around, feeding around, and all sorts of things. Chris, I like both guiding styles, on foot and in the vehicle. Bushwalk is obviously, I think most guides prefer bushwalk because you're closer to everything that's going around. You get to see really cool insects. Sometimes you get to see the big animals on foot too, which is amazing. And you get the coolest adrenaline rush. But then again, you also don't see as many big things because we're trying to avoid them. The idea is not to try and, see how many encounters you can do. Obviously, we do that as guides when you're training. In order to get the necessary qualifications, you've got to have a certain amount of hours to do the various qualifications. But once you've done that with your guests, I mean, normally you're just showing sort of track and sign, talking about medicinal plant uses and things like that. Well, I suppose you can do that from a car as well. But a car, you get so close to the animals. You would never have a leopard walk right past you on foot. I mean, that's silly. That's dangerous. But in the vehicle, they're so habituated to them that it is quite easy for them to walk right past the vehicles. But let's carry on. We have got ourselves quite far away from camp. We've already walked about 5 kilometers. And I think we've probably got another 2.5, maybe 3 Ks to go before we get home. So Rexon is up ahead. We're kind of doing a bit of a march at the moment. Ooh, it seems as though Tristan is doing a bit of trailing himself. Let's go and see which animal he's got in mind.
I am trailing. I'm trailing one of the large female hyenas who's walking on a path to something that she doesn't want to encounter. She has no idea, I think, that there are lions right in front of her, and she's walking straight towards them. And maybe, just maybe, she'll spot them and sniff them before they see her, but otherwise she's going to have a tough time because she's going to get herself into a lot of trouble. Being as full as she is, she might just not have the speed to get away. Although, look, you see she's sniffing and a little bit more alert now as to what's going on. But the lions are literally just on the other side of these bushes that she's heading into, and so she's going to have to be very, very careful about the way that she goes about this. So I'm going to try and keep up with her. Let's see. She's heading towards the pan, and I'm sure she's going towards the pan because hyenas, as they leave carcasses, often go and lie in the pan. It eases their tummies. They're so full and they're so hot, and she is going to walk straight into these lions. This is going, well, hopefully, if the lions are still here, this is where we left the lions, is right along this path. Now, let's see what happens. She's going to get a massive fright if she sees them, and she's going to bolt. There we go. The lions were right here. So she's maybe... Let's see. Let's just stop here. Oh, there you go. She's realized, hang on a second, something's not right here, and has just changed direction completely and is now moving away. Look, and you can see the alertness that's going on and checking around. Probably can now smell the lions because the lions walked off the road in that direction. I just want to try and see where you off to. Now, you can see her bum is dirty from lying in a mud wallow already. So I think she was trying to come to Chelapan for a bit of a swim. And unfortunately, there is her worst enemy lying right there. So I'm sure she's going to be a bit aware. You can see, look at how much her pace is quickening as she tries to move around these lions. Now, I actually can't even see, there the lions are. They've stood up and they're watching this hyena. One of the young males, or the young male is watching this hyena kind of going past. And let's see what kind of goes on here. There you can see the lions are watching, and then the hyena that's moving about. I wonder if the hyena thinks maybe that there's a carcass, given that the lions are so full. Maybe this little hyena smelt meat as well, and that's why it's come in this direction to come and check what's happening. Not that she's little in any way. She's a big girl, this hyena. But the lions there, and mortal enemies. But the distance between the two of them is still safe. Oh, the lions have all just flopped back down again. They're not too concerned, and off our hyena goes. Now, actually, the reason I was following this hyena more than anything is initially was to try and work out maybe if this was going to take us back to a den, because we have hyenas moving about. And look how skittish it is when it smells the lions. Amazing. The thing is, though, all the lions are sleeping. Not one of them is even standing up and looking in this direction anymore. They just decided it's too hot to really go after any hyenas. This hyena also looks like it's lactating. You see that? So it looks like it's got teats that it's got lactating. Potentially, it's difficult to see with the shadow on my monitor. But it does look like there might be teats there. I don't know. I couldn't see nicely. I'll try and kind of have another look now as we get a bit closer. One of the lions is up and watching and kind of just checking what's happening and just seeing off the threat. But I'm pretty sure they're going to flop back down fairly shortly. Or maybe just go for a drink first before they do that. Hyena's still milling about, though. Let's try to go forward a bit, Seb, see if we can see anything from where we are. I think this hyena thinks maybe, just maybe, there might be a carcass to scavenge off, even though it's so full and fat, and it's eaten, a bit of elephant. Maybe it thinks that there is in some way something that it can get, but it's sniffed about all over where the lions were lying, and it's probably worked out that there are lions very close by. Their sense of smell is incredibly good. Just trying to see if the lions are actually drinking or if they're just lying down again. Nope. So, no lions following, they're just lying back down again, as they do when it's hot like this. Now, I want to know if anyone thinks that we're going to be able to find a den if we follow this hyena, or if you think where the den could be. It's going north up Twin Dams at the moment, so it could be anywhere in this general vicinity. I have no idea where it's going to go, but it's going to be worth following, and whether or not we can follow it is the next question, because if it cuts into the Mulawati, we're going to have an issue. But like I say, if you have an idea of where you think this hyena is going to go, hashtag Safari Live or YouTube chat, let us know, and maybe, just maybe, we might be able to find the new hyena den. Wouldn't that be exciting? I think that would be very, very cool to be able to see. Now, lots of flies following everybody around. It's because the lions smell like meat and the hyenas smell like meat as well. Did she cut through? No, she's still on the road, so keep going around. Right, now it sounds like Brent is decided that he's going to now drive a little bit, so hopefully those dogs are on the move and coming closer. Let's go across to him and find out.
No dogs. No dogs. They went to sleep. But that's good prospects for this afternoon. So there are 3 packs of dogs around at the moment. One there, and one there. And literally on 3 sides of us we have wild dogs. So hopefully one set of all those dogs decides to come visit us. And wouldn't it be lovely to have dogs on bushwalk again? It's been a long time since we had that. Okay. Now I know Tristan's trying to follow that hyena towards a den, and I really hope we do have an active hyena den back on Djuma soon. There's enough tracks absolutely everywhere for hyena. Tristan is calling me. Hi, Tristan. Okay, copy. I'm on my way. Not dogs there, I'm afraid. Cats. Apparently, Okamuri is coming back into Djuma. So Tristan's down with the lions and the hares. So we're gonna shoot there now. Whee! So I've given up on the dogs for the morning. So we might as well have a cat. So Ali is the one who's passing on that message that Okamuri is coming in. We are quite far, but hopefully we can get there in time. Maybe the dogs will give me an Easter Sunday surprise tomorrow morning. Now, there is great talk about what is happening on Sunday. Oh, it's also April Fool's Day. I wonder what tricks we're going to play on Final Control. But also, I think that tomorrow will be the inaugural quarantine Sunday cricket match. So I hope everyone is getting their bowling arms ready. We will be watching for Sticky Tape, Taylor McCurdy, who's Australian. So we will be watching for any ball tampering from Taylor McCurdy. You know, in the genes and whatnot. Convict! Just joking with Taylor, of course. But yes, so we will be playing cricket tomorrow, and that should be a lot of fun. Dave, who do you think is going to be the best cricketer in camp?
Maybe
Conradi. See, I don't think it's Conradi at all. I think it's going to be Tristan. He did play provincial cricket. Yes. Tristan's probably the best cricketer, but I reckon I got his number psychologically with my little googlies. I'm a spin bowler, but yes. So Tristan's probably the best cricketer, but I think I've got him. Now, the one person we've got to keep out of the tech room before the cricket match is Taylor McCurdy. Keep her away from the sandpaper.
What? Brent? I'm going to make a trap. I think I might have to somehow tie Brent up. I don't know how, with wire and perhaps to a tree near that carcass. And let hyenas take care of you. Should we do that and then just move the bed? VM says we'll tie him to his bed while he's asleep and then just move the entire bed. That sounds about right. Look whose tracks we've got here. Down in the sand. Not very fresh. Not very fresh? What is fresh, Taylor? Fresh. I don't know why I make up so many words. Anyway, those are Hukamuri's tracks from yesterday as he came walking around here. Whew. It's very hot. What is that? A spider web. I've collected a spider web. Now let's carry on going this way. So, cricket, you say, Brent? Let us not forget that I was 6 years old when my dad was bowling fast balls down to me in the nets. I've had lots of practice. I've been hit by many a cricket ball. I have not played cricket in a very long time, though, except in the car park occasionally. That's like a guide's favorite game to play. So, yeah, quite excited to see what happens. I'm obviously not going to be anywhere near as good as the boys, but I'll try. I'll give them a run for their money, I reckon. I always seem to surprise the boys with the way that I can bowl and the way that I can swing a cricket ball. I shouldn't be swinging a cricket bat, but yes, I can. I can play many sports. So we shall see, Brenty. Game on. Right now, Brent likes to say that he was a professional cricketer, but we all know in reality he wasn't. However, there was someone on our team that almost went pro, and his name was Tristan. So my money is on Tristan for the cricket tournament tomorrow.
Well, Taylor, I don't know about almost going pro, but anyway, it is a game that I spent a lot of time playing and thoroughly enjoyed playing, and so it is game one, indeed. Now, Taylor, I have no doubt, is sneaky and is going to be a good cricketer, and the reason why is because Taylor's dad was an international cricketer who played for Australia, and she was telling me a story about how when she was younger, she was apparently told by her dad that she has to front up, and so she apparently used to play cricket with her dad, and her dad used to bowl to her, and she used to try and kind of hit the ball, and she said it was petrifyingly scary, but anyway, she managed to kind of do it. So I think Taylor's got a little bit of kind of technique and probably a little bit more sort of skill than what anyone's giving her credit for. So she's definitely the so-called outside bet. Now, Hyena is still running along and still, so we're just following it and trying to see. It's obviously not easy to follow at all because of the way it's walking. It keeps cutting through thickets, so I'm trying to give it a lot of space that it doesn't go off the road, and we can then try and kind of keep up with this individual, but still moving as fast as hyenas move. And it's amazing how it's moving at this time of the day. Everyone always thinks hyenas are completely nocturnal, but it just goes to show when they've had a good feed at a carcass, then they will start to kind of walk slowly and purposely even through the day back to wherever they go. But it's just a good opportunity for us and a rare opportunity to try and follow one of them back to wherever they go. I mean, it might not be a den site, but maybe it's an area where they're spending time. Maybe it's a place that they're looking to potentially den. These kind of things are always interesting, and then you kind of, it's worth taking the gamble. Oh, look, there we go, pasting. So there was a little pasting action that happened there. So they have a little gland underneath their tail, and as they go along they scrape it onto grass, and it leaves a perfect little scent for any other hyena that comes past that lasts for weeks on end. So very clever to paste like that and to be able to scent. Where are you taking us? It's going to be interesting to see where we go. I have a feeling we're going to go towards Rebecca's Road, and then we're going to cut into these drainage lines around there. That's where I think we're going to be heading. If we are going to be heading there, it's going to be seriously tough to follow. It's even difficult to follow a leopard through there, and you can see the pace that hyenas walk, much faster than what leopards walk. Let's see. Not stopping at any of the mud wallows yet. Still kind of cruising around, so still some stamina left in this particular individual. Now back to our cricket story. Brent says he's got the mental edge, and psychologically he's got it better than us. Brent Smith, I think not. I have played against many people that were incredibly clever with their psychological games, and I'm pretty sure that I can handle the best you've got to throw at me, and falling out of a car, these kind of things are not really going to faze me too much at all. So I think it's going to be game on. It's going to be an interesting game that we're going to play. Lakeisha, no, the hyenas are not really like that. They don't generally deliberately lead you away from den sites. She's on her way back from that elephant carcass. That's where she's coming from. So she's kind of left the carcass and is mobile and kind of going back towards wherever they spend the day. Like I say, it might not be a den site. It might just be an area that they sleep and spend time resting at. But it'll be interesting to know, because we have absolutely no idea at the moment where our hyenas are spending the days. And so it'll be good just to try and follow. Now, this could go all the way to Manyeleti. It could go all the way to Buffelshoek boundary. It's difficult to say how far we could end up following this particular individual, but it's worth the gamble given that we are struggling so much to find the den sites at the moment, and given that this individual is walking the way it's walking purposefully, it seems like a good idea to try and see if we can get it right. There we go, cutting off. You see the pathway straight towards Rebecca's Road. Is if it crosses over Philemon's cut line, it's going to, yes, it's going straight towards your road, Rebecca. That's right. Now, I'm going to keep going with our hyena. Now, Brent sounds like he's also trying to trail an individual. Not that he has sight of it yet, but hopefully he's going to be able to see the individual he's trying to find.
See, now I've got Tristan exactly where I want him for the cricket game. All he's going to be doing is thinking about how I'm going to bowl him out. I've got him exactly where I want him. Dave, I think I got you as well. Oh, Dave, you're not going to be here for cricket. Oh, Dave's going to be on leave. He's so scared he's running away from me. It's that devious spin I have. Which is quite funny because I'm tall. For me to be a fast, however, I'm a spin bowler. For those of you who know cricket, a bit of height being a spin bowler is quite useful because you get some good bounce, and with flight. Well, speaking of flight, there's something flying. Did it land or did it keep flying, Dave? I didn't see. There's a ground hornbill. I thought it might. Oh, it did land, and now it's flying again. So there we go. Speaking of flight, the flight of my cricket ball is going to knock Tristan's stumps over. I'm just going to chat to Peter quickly. Peter, where exactly did Nkuhuma cross? Alright, he's on a different radio channel. Okay. So Treehouse Dam is in between these two roads, so we're just going to have a quick squiz on Gary Main to see if we can see the tracks of Nkuhuma. Actually, well, as I said, Nkuhuma sounds like a samurai's name, a warrior, a samurai warrior. So I almost, Jamie actually came up with it. I was on the phone to her last night, and she said, well, Hasana was trying to commit harikiri yesterday, like sneaking around Nkuhuma. It is quite ridiculous. I wish I had thought of it. Hopefully we can find said warrior. I heard Hasana has been found this morning, by the way. Right now, he's completely fine. He's down in Little Gowrie somewhere. I'm not quite sure what McCurdy's doing, but it's obviously something quite strange.
Look at me go. I don't know how I've managed to do this. I'm so clever. Okay, 1, 2, 3. And we're back again. Right. The sun is obviously getting to us now, and it's become quite warm on this bushwalk. I got excited earlier. I thought I'd heard elephants, and then you can imagine I was super excited. It wasn't. I was trying to listen with my right ear, which has my earpiece in, which was a disaster. It was actually a helicopter that was flying in the distance, and all I could hear was, which I thought the elephants were talking to one another, but that was not the case. I did look like a bit of a fool when I went, "Are they elephants?" And Rexon's going, "No, it's a helicopter." And I was going, okay, cool, just checking, you know. VM, you're winning with all the sticks today. VM is doing a sterling job at collecting all the branches that the elephants have put in the road as a trap. So VM is getting tricked already, even though tomorrow is only April Fool's. Now, I need your help. But I don't know how we're going to do this that Brent doesn't see. Brent is the only person in camp I want to prank. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to round Tristan up on my side. Now, I know you all love Brent, but you can't. You can't tell him now. I've got to keep it a secret. I've got a couple of things that I'm going to do. See, I'm not just going to try and prank him right once. I'm going to try and prank him's karma getting me already for the entire day tomorrow. So just when he thinks it's over, there'll be something else that will try and get him. So we'll see what we can do and sort of come up with things we can come up with. I don't know what we're going to do, but VM and I have been trying to brainstorm most of the morning. I'm still trying to find the ticks though, which is why I'm still going along the edge here. I can't believe we haven't seen any of those big bont ticks sitting on the blades of grass. That's crazy. Normally they're everywhere, especially on a very hot day like today. What's flying? Something just landed here, VM. It's a fly. Can you see it? it flew away, as flies do. So we're not going to fly away. We're going to carry on walking down the road and go and look for a pile of marula nuts. Let's have a look inside them, see if we can maybe find a nut to nibble on, because I'm hungry. Let's go and see if Tristan is wanting to be on my side when it comes to pranking Brent.
Well, Taylor, yes, I suppose we can come up with something. Since Brent reckons he's psychologically got the advantage over us, maybe we need to throw him off his game with a little April Fool's joke to be able to keep him on his toes. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I've got to think about this a little bit. I've got to be careful with Brent, because Brent will cause more trouble if I prank him. Then I'll not hear the end of it. And also, the pranks will probably not stop, and it will end up in something probably going vastly awry at some point. Now, Hyena has disappeared inside here. I just couldn't follow any further. We tried our best to try and keep up with it, but it kind of went into this horrible place that is the drainage line that runs kind of on the western side of quarantine. There's a Nyala bull that we were busy looking at and kind of hoping that the Nyala bull would spot the hyena for us and we could then try and pick it up again. But the last time we saw it was going north in the drainage itself, so traveling up the drainage. But it is virtually impossible to get through this, and even with something like a leopard, which was ambling in the form of Hukamuri and Tamba, we struggled heavily, Tandi, to try and follow through here. And so this hyena that's on a serious mission, walking the way it is almost impossible. And you can see the flick of the ear and those eyes just kind of poking through the thicket and the camouflage that this individual has. It's not very often we get this close to a Nyala, and I don't know why this Nyala is just sitting right with us. Maybe it's because the hyena walked past already and now we're here and it's kind of just sitting dead still, trying to rely on its camouflage to hide it. And its camouflage does do a good job. If it sits still and doesn't move, you can see how difficult it is to actually see these guys in these thickets. So there's a fully grown Nyala bull there, but you wouldn't say so if you kind of just had a brief glimpse of it as you were driving past. So very, very good camouflage. And so now at least I've got a starting point on this hyena story. I can maybe try and get on to walk, and we can try and check around this block, see maybe we get lucky. In my experience, it's very, very, very seldom that hyenas den inside drainage lines. They normally den on termite mounds fairly close to drainage lines is okay, but normally up so that they've got a bit of a view around them. Very seldom do you see them down and low, and the reason why is because of the amount of traffic in drainage lines. Lots of leopard, lots of lion use them, and wild dogs, and so it's not a great place if you're trying to keep things safe from those animals. So better to be up on a crest area with a nice termite mound that you can see what's going on. And so maybe in this block between sort of Zoe's, Rebecca's and quarantine, potentially there might be a den somewhere in there. I don't know. It's very difficult to say, but we tried our very best to follow as far as we could, and unfortunately it just ended up in this horrible thicket that we're in. Now, I believe Taylor is talking about that she's hungry, and I'm sure she'll give us a breakfast prediction. I'm going to go with the fruit prediction today because she was not right yesterday, just by the way, everybody. She got it wrong. And apparently now she's also very thirsty too.
Thirsty and I'm hungry. I think I'm going to go with fruit. I think I might just have the plain yogurt with raspberries and blueberries and some honey. Now, I wanted to very quickly tell you about the amazing things that you get to experience when you're a guide. Obviously, you get to do bushwalks and you spend your entire day out walking around or in a car, driving past, having leopards walk past you, bundu bashing and chasing after wild dogs. It's all pretty cool. Now, obviously, we spend a lot of time in the sun. Can I just show you what a almost 7-year shorts tan looks like that you cannot get rid of? Are you ready for this? I'm not going to hike them up too much. Don't get too excited. How's that color difference? Hey? How nice is that? Hey? I can't ever get rid of that. It doesn't matter how much I sit in the sun. I will have this shorts tan for the rest of my life. It's so nice. Now, the other thing that you must do is, of course, stay hydrated. I don't normally use a plastic bottle, but because, well, all the carcinogenics and things and like that, and plastic sitting in the sun, it's not good for you, so rather use glass, or I have a flask that I use all the time that keeps everything nice and cool. Rebecca has just said to me that she thinks my sock tan is worse. Well, let's see. You're also going to see I'm wearing 2 different colored socks today, but I'm dirty. Oh, there goes my binoculars. Can you see my sock tan? Nah, it's not as dramatic. But it's not dramatic difference. They're the same sock Oh, I've even got one sock on inside out. I failed this morning. I was getting changed in the dark. Let me tie my shoelace again. How does it go again? The rabbit, bunny ears, and then that. Then you have to, it goes in the hole, and it comes out or something like that, and then gets a carrot. I don't know. I'm also now moving the grass tied into my shoe. I'm hot. I was going to go and jump into the pool in Ingas, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm just going to do this to myself. This is probably the easiest way to cool yourself down on a bushwalk. Right, on that happy note, off you go to Tristan, and maybe he'll do the same thing to cool down.
I don't know what's gone wrong with the two of my co-workers today and throwing water in their faces and things like that. The reason why I will not throw water in my face is two reasons. One is that I have ice cold water that has still got ice in it, which would be very, very cold, and that was not going to be very pleasant at all. The second reason is that I'm pretty sure Jandre will shoot me if I spray water onto my mic and damage it, because Jandre keeps telling me that I'm heavy on mics, even though this is still my original mic from the day that I started. I have not damaged any microphones whatsoever. This is my only mic. I'm an earpiece damager, not a serial microphone damager. So anyway, we have now gotten to that point where it seems to be delving into madness this morning. Maybe it's the heat getting to Taylor's brain. And talking about tans and those kind of things, I think, there's many pros to what we do and how we go about our business, but there are also some cons, and our shorts tan is a con. There's a ground hornbill, Seb. Look, across quarantine. That's very nice to see. You see it at the base of that marula just walking around. It's a little bit difficult. It's just his head bobbing around in some long grass. Maybe if I go back, there it goes. So just the one that I can see at the moment. I'm sure there are more around, but amazing to see these birds. They are highly endangered, and the fact that we get to see them around in these open areas and kind of around quarantine as often as we do is very special. And they're supreme hunters. They go after all kinds of things, and we'll be picking up now. We'll be trying to hunt things like snakes and scorpions and chameleons and lizards and insects and, well, anything that they can manage with those beaks. They are insanely powerful. They've got massive beaks, and they're even known to scavenge. So don't be surprised if you see a ground hornbill at that elephant carcass. They do scavenge from carcasses from time to time, and will go and eat off a carcass, much like you would see a vulture or a marabou stork. It's not common, but they can do it and do it from time to time. Anyway, it's drifting away from us at a rather rapid rate, and we are going to lose it fairly shortly. Right, now we're going to carry on. Our ground hornbill has left us, but let's send you back across to Brent Leo Smith, who, well, has been searching all morning and so far has come up with nothing.
Yes, but I've had a thoroughly good time bumbling with intent today, haven't we, David? David, our aerial is down. What happened? Oh no, David, yes, oh no. Cameraman these days. Now, tracks of Ukamuri go into the very big block between Weaver's Nest and Shibam Road. He doesn't come out to Treehouse Dam, so I think this afternoon that's a very good prospect, place to start, especially if he hasn't managed to catch anything this morning. I think he's going to be very hungry this evening, so definitely worth spending some time with him. So out of the 3 packs of dogs that are on this morning, 2 have gone to sleep over there after catching a warthog. There's about 8 or 9 over there who are just sleeping, and there's about 10 over there that are just sleeping. So who knows which way they're going to go. Let's hopefully get one of the ones that haven't eaten rather than the dogs that have eaten a warthog. They'll be very fat and very flat for most of the day, and unlikely to move too much. Oh, well, not move, they'll move, but unlikely to hunt this evening. Now, I'm still going to chat a little bit about this epic. I mean, the quarantine cricket match is going to make the Ashes look like a tea party. And we've already got people out injured. The press is going mad. Rebecca is out injured with injured ribs and wrists from doing too much exercise. And so Rebecca is going to have to sit on the bench for this one. Let's think. I think we should actually make teams. What do you think, guys? I think we should make 2 teams to compete in the quarantine cricket epic. And Rebecca wants to know how we can do this when it's fair. I think this is going to be the main discussion at morning meeting today. Forget all the work stuff. There you go. Rebecca is going to be the umpire since she is out injured. But how many of us are there? Okay. So you going away, David, so you don't count. You have no say in this matter. So Tristan, myself, Taylor, Steve's back as well. But he'll only be back at work tomorrow afternoon. But Steve's back. Them. Oh, we have a new staff member joining Final Control named Luke, but we are unsure of his skill or talent just yet. Who knows, he might be the star bowler or he could be the left back in the change room type. We will find out. Sebastian goes on leave as well, so he's out. Of course, there's Louise, Geraldine, who am I forgetting? Nicola, Conradi. I think Conradi's a bit of a dark horse. Alicia. Oh, Americans playing cricket. This could get ugly. Now, you can't throw the ball, Alicia. You have to bowl the ball, Alicia. Straight arm. And there'll be none of this ladies bowling underarm nonsense. Everyone bowls overarm. Let me see. This is the site of the pitch here. I think let's go have a look. I know exactly. I think this section of the road is the most conducive to being a good cricket pitch. So you've got nice straight. There's a bit in the rough for the spinners. There's a bit of bounce for the pacemen. There's enough in it for the batsmen. So I think this little section somewhere along here will be a decent cricket pitch. You don't want it too sandy, otherwise the ball doesn't bounce nicely. You want it nice and hard. So there's a bit in it for everyone. I'm trying to think. So how many staff members do we have at the moment, Rebecca, in total? We have one moment, please. I think Rebecca's doing some counting. Oh, hello, ground hornbill. Oh, we've seen quite a few of them all over today. And who knows, we might even get some of the most interesting cricket spectators in the world. We might have elephants watching us. We could have ground hornbills watching us. Who knows? Maybe Hassana will sit in a tree and be the third umpire. So apparently we've got about 15 or 16 people in camp. So 8-a-side cricket, I think that's doable. We're going to have to decide on 2 captains, though. Then I think that'll happen in morning meeting. Well, I think one person who's going to be pushing for one of the team captains is Tristan. So let's go see what he thinks.
I'm not actually, Brent. I have to look after you, Rebel, every single day, so I'm not going to be doing team captains. There will be others that will captain. But you can see we found ourselves a rather ornate leopard that is attached, well, to a shoe that is attached... No, elephant. Did I say leopard? You see what goes through my brain is... Oopsie, sorry.
You know what will cool you down?
No, Taylor, man! Why did I give her a lift? This is what happens when I give her a lift. It's okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's how it goes. Anyway, it's fine. Luckily, I've got my waterproof shirt on because look, see the water just drips off me. Look at that. Look at that. Isn't that amazing?
Great advertising.
It is great advertising, isn't it? So as you can see, I have now gotten, yes, water off a duck's back. You're right. Let me shake like a little duck and get rid of it. So as you can see, I've picked up our intrepid bushwalkers who have had an epic morning. They've seen all kinds of weird and wonderful things. Taylor McCurdy has provided some entertainment with water squirting all over the place. Taylor, did you have fun?
I did, and apparently my hair looked like a croissant earlier. Rebecca was saying
Rebecca was hungry looking at your hair. Taylor says she had a good morning, but apparently that Rebecca was hungry looking at her hair. Weird. I don't know what Rebecca's up to. Maybe it's this wrist thing that's affecting her. There goes Brent Leo Smith. He's also driving home and heading back to camp slowly but surely. Now, I've got Taylor, the trucker. There we go. He's stopped in the road. Now he's going. What did you see? Nothing. Tire tracks. My tracker saw tire tracks. Anyway, guys, it is that time of the day where we are going to be saying goodbye. It's a time where it's for breakfast and, well, just to consume some water, given that it is quite hot. So it's been an absolute pleasure having all of you with us this morning, and lots of interesting little things that have been happening. Now, Taylor, stop squirting water at me. So from all of us and Rebecca in the FC, it's been an absolute pleasure. We'll see you this afternoon on our Sunset Safari. Stop it.